Here's a recent quote from you. My conflict is between what I really am and what I'd really like myself to be. I'm forever struggling to deepen myself, take a more profound path, but what comes easiest to me is light entertainment. I'm more comfortable with shallower stuff.
I think I've proved that over the years. I mean, you know, I always try and be as deep and profound and philosophical as I can, but I can't do it because I'm too limited. I have little education and not much personal depth, and so my work, what is it? I mean, I was a nightclub comic. I boxed a kangaroo on a television show. I sang Little Sir Echo with a talking dog on a television show. You know, I'm not...
This goes back 30
from
years,
the Sorbonne or anything. so once in a while, I have a more serious thing on my mind, and I indulge myself and do it, and everybody hates it, and then I don't do it again for a few years.
Once you complete a film, you say you never watch it again.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it once or twice be instructive? Wouldn't it be a good thing to sit in the balcony at Bullets Over Broadway, see what the audience sees?
It's a brutal thing to go and watch your films after you've made them, unless you're the most confident person in the world, which I'm not. I'm afraid I'm going to go home and think, oh, I did that. Can I buy the print back and get them all out of circulation?
When did it first hit you that Bob Hope
That answers my question.
was somehow on the same wavelength as you? We're talking about Hope, the film actor, not Hope, the stand-up comic.
When I was a little kid, I thought he was a great comic. He's got a great delivery, fabulous way with lines.
It's easy to see some of the similarities.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a guy not classically handsome, but he gets the girls in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a playful, romantic side to him. He's cowardly, but he works around it, and he speaks always in his own voice rather than reciting lines.
Right. I've been very much influenced by him, and I see it in all my films. Sometimes I see it shamelessly, and other times I see it, but not so, it's more disguised.
Does the comic always feel as if he has to apologize in some way for the laugh?
Yeah, patronizingly, people will say the hardest thing is comedy, it's the greatest gift, we appreciate it more than drama and all that. The truth of the matter is, when you come right down to it, the pieces that stick to the ribs the most are, you know, Hamlet and Lear and Othello and A Streetcar Named Desire and Death of a Salesman. So the comic always feels in a slightly defensive position. You know, drama will confront life, and comedy diffuses the situation.
When I first started, I could only write for men, and I wrote for myself. I was the lead in my early movies, and that was it. And whenever I wrote a comedy part, it was for a man, and I only wrote comedies. And then I started going out with Diane Keaton. We started living together. And Diane has got a very large personality. She's very smart, very artistic. She's got a great eye. And I started seeing things through her eyes. She started educating me, and I started seeing the female perspective. And I was able to write Annie Hall, which was a very good character, a female character, for her. And then I started writing for her and for women more because she kind of guided me that way, and I liked it, and I kept doing it, and it mushroomed, and then after a while, I was only writing for women. When I make a film, I never ever look at it again once I put it out, because if you look at it again, you can always see what you did wrong and how you can improve it and why it's as terrible as it is. So I would shoot them all again. I could very happily take any movie I have and improve it if I could get the cast back and the circumstances exact, roll back time, get the money. I could improve them all after seeing them start to finish up there. I've tried to grow as an artist. I've tried to do more risky things and to stretch myself in areas that I'm not so familiar with. If I wasn't doing that, I would be making just these laugh comedies, trying my best to make them funny, but there'd be a sameness to all of them. I try and make films like Match Point and you know, Blue Jasmine and you know, to make different kinds of films and ones that don't come so easily to me, that I have to work harder and struggle more with, and they don't come so naturally to me. And some of them work, some of them don't, but it's either that or you stagnate. You make the same film. For instance, nobody was greater to me than the Marx Brothers. I mean, I just find them hilarious and superb. But I will say, it was the same film over and over. Now, to me, it's a delight. I could watch that same film a million times and be delighted by them. But it is the same film. If you look at, you know, Coconuts or you know, any of Duck Soup, you know, it's pretty much the same film as Go West, or A Night at the Opera is pretty much the same as A Day at the Races. And I don't want to do that. I would like to keep growing and making different kinds of things. That's a choice that you make. You sacrifice a lot by doing that, but I think it's a richer artistic experience in the long run. But you have to know that you're going to fail, and you have to be able to not get upset when you fail, because if you're afraid of failing, then you're going to stay in a safe mode that you know you can do well and just keep repeating yourself. Usually in the course of a year, ideas will occur to me. I'll read something in a newspaper, I'll be having dinner, having a conversation with someone, and an idea will occur to me, and I write it down and put it away. And then when I'm finished with the film, I just finished making a film in Spain, I'll go back to New York, I'll edit it, that will take me a few weeks, put it together. Then I'll go to my bedroom and get out all these little slips of paper and look at them. And some of them will be very boring, and I don't know what I ever was thinking of. And then others will say, oh, you know, that would make a very interesting story. And I start to think about it and develop it, and maybe it doesn't work, or maybe it does, or maybe another one does. But I'm never really at a loss for ideas for films. If it's a comedy, I can write for a man more easily. But if it's a dramatic story, I tend to write for women because I feel that they're more emotional. It's easier. Men, you know, are rigid, they're macho, they don't show their emotions that much. It's important for them to be strong, so to speak, and to keep together. Women don't have that. Women are open, they cry, they scream, they're tender with children, they're shriek with jealousy. Guys are not so emotional, or they don't show it. And so I've been writing for women now for years. Whatever touch I have in films is apparent in the films, whether I'm in them or not. That you could tell a film of mine, because they're always about the same things. Even if the atmosphere of the film is not the same, the emotions or the problems or the ideas of the film remain the same. And I think, you know, I think all of my films have my own personal obsessions in them. They're not autobiographical, but yes, they're very personal, because they revolve around, they either explore or evade or satirize, or, you know, obsessions of mine, personal obsessions of mine. Sometimes I meet people and they expect me to be funny, and then I'm serious, but they laugh because they expected to laugh, and they think they're probably thinking, gee, he's not so funny, but I better be polite and laugh, when in fact, you know, I'm serious almost all the time. Right, this is a common thing. You do that in comedy, and people do it in real life. You know, you go in with a producer and sit down for discussion, and the producer starts by saying, look, I'm giving you my opinion, I'm no genius, but I want to tell you what I think. He's telling you that he's no genius before you tell him that he's no genius. Now, this kind of preemptive strike happens in all
forms of life, and certainly in comedy all the time. The comedian does it to himself before the other person does it to him.
You know, you could make interesting films, and if they made a little profit, that was great. Then somewhere along the line, the film studios saw that if they spent a lot of money on a film, the potential to make immense profit was there. And so they became bored with excuse me one second. Hello? Yeah, I'm on camera right now, so can I call you back? Okay. My wife checks up on me all the time. So they became bored with small profits. So if they make a film and it makes $10 million, years ago, that was a nice profit. You know, a good, intelligent film. It made a few. Nobody lost any money. They made a little money. They were very happy. Now, if they don't make, you know, they make, I don't know what, $75 million the first weekend. You know, but they open Friday, and by Monday morning, they've made more money on a film than all the films of Ingmar Bergman has made in his lifetime.
How long does it take to write a film? A month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months? How long can it take? So if it took you 4 months to write a film, then I start to film it, so it takes me 3 months to film the film. Now 7 months have gone by, then another month or two to edit the film, and I'm finished in 8 or 10 months. It's not a big deal. Then I have time off, and I sit home, I have nothing to do. A week goes by, 2 weeks go by, I practice my clarinet, 3 weeks go by, and finally I start to write again. But this is not, I'm not working at a very feverish pace. This is a very comfortable pace.